the causal body carries your gross body and subtle body in potential form from the time of the previous big crunch or the previous dissolution up until this current creation or current Big Bang. So that is the causal body. The causal body, I'll repeat, the causal body is the one that carries your gross body and subtle body in its seed form or in its potential form for a long time up until the time of Big Bang. Continuing with the analysis of human composition, we completed the analysis of the gross body and the subtle body. The subtle body as such, some of you would find it little abstract, but nevertheless it conforms with your reason and logic, I believe. Now we will move on to the analysis of the causal body. This analysis of causal body is going to be little more abstract when compared to the aspects of subtle body. Before we get into the four-factor analysis of what the causal body is made of, what are the components, what are the functions, and what is the nature of causal body, I thought I would give you some background information so that when we get to this four-factor analysis, it will be easier for you all to have a grasp of what it is all about. Now, when we analyze the gross body and the subtle body, we saw the lifespan of the gross body maximum, it can go up to 120 to 130 years. And we also discussed the lifespan of the subtle body starts from the point of Big Bang and it goes on and ends up until the total dissolution or the big crunch or big rip, whatever we can name it, but the point is at one point it has to go to dissolution. Now, if that be so, the natural question is what happened to the individual's subtle body, the state of the subtle body of one person before the Big Bang. If it's not only for one person, you observe now in planet Earth, it's a small tiny speck in the entire cosmos, have 8 billion human beings and lot of other living beings, plants, and the inert matter. Inert matter of not only here, the entire inert matter in the entire universe. It's not only the observable universe, the unobservable universe included, including space. So the natural question is, from where did all the matter and energy, what is the state of the matter and energy before the Big Bang? What is the state of my gross body and subtle body before the Big Bang? This is question number one. What will be the state of my gross body and subtle body and the gross body and subtle body of the rest of the human beings and the state of all the inert matter in the entire universe? What will be its state after the big crunch or after total dissolution? When I talk about what will be the state, it is including space. So how did so much of matter and energy as it were come from nothing, that is before Big Bang, and how can so much of matter and energy that can go into nothing after big crunch? So these two questions we need to analyze first. To answer these two questions, we need to look at some of the high school basic stuff. Law of conservation of matter and energy. It states matter and energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. I will give few examples. I'm sure most of you know the examples, but then nevertheless to get to some of the deeper analysis, it's better to know a few examples before we start analyzing further. For example, a small container full of water in a closed room, closed state. If you boil it completely, the entire water evaporates and becomes steam. And the whole steam, if it condenses, it becomes water. So this is one way of conservation of matter and energy. Now, likewise, in schools, in doing analyzing chemical reactions, so why do you balance the equations? The balancing the equations is a big task for young students. It's only to conserve the amount of substance before a reaction, chemical reaction, and after the chemical reaction, the total amount of substance is conserved. That is the logic behind balancing the equations. Also, observe the extent of food that we intake. Apart from the solid waste, the nutrients get into the body, and the whole, whatever that we take as food as an intake, in that also matter and energy are conserved. Now taking the same thing, extending further, is matter is nothing but condensed form of energy. And that is also proven, the famous Einstein's equation, E equal to mc square. With this outfit, for me to state that equation E is equal to mc square, it's little funny, but still, c is velocity of light. Velocity of light is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. M is mass of the substance. The energy contained in a small mass of a substance is huge. So that's the logic behind atom bomb. 1 kg of fissionable material, imagine how much joules of energy it can release when its mass is multiplied by the square of velocity of speed of light. So that's incredible. Again, in distant galaxies, the James Webb Telescope, the Hubble Telescope, it observes a lot of sun exploding into supernova. A lot of energy is released, and the energy is again conserved. A lot of sun forming with energy, lot of energy available in the galaxy, lot of suns, like kind of fireworks happening every now and then in the observable universe. One more example or two more examples. If you consider an ornament, if you see an ornament, a gold ornament, the goldsmith, is he creating the ornament? No, he only kind of does his work on solid metal and makes the ornament from gold. He is not creating any gold, in the sense he cannot add any amount of gold as substance on his own. He only transformed the existing gold metal into an ornament. If he can add any gold, he is not a goldsmith. You call him an alchemist, right? So likewise, you see huge trees. How is the tree created? Some of the trees live for thousands and thousands of years. That's what the scientists say. How this huge tree is created? The entire tree was once in a potential small seed form. So that seed has the potency to create such a huge tree, or make the tree manifest into such a huge tree. So likewise, the gross body, the subtle body, and all the inert objects of the entire universe cannot come from nothing. I mean, we are analyzing the starting point, Big Bang. It cannot come from nothing. It defies law of conservation of matter and energy. To this extent, I'm sure we all can agree that before Big Bang, it cannot come out from nothing because it defies law of conservation of energy and matter. Therefore, going by the law of conservation of matter and energy, we can only logically conclude that before Big Bang, the entire universe would have been in the unmanifest form, that we call it as a singularity, or the universe. The universe means your gross body, subtle body, the gross body, subtle body of the other beings, and the entire inert object would have been in an unmanifest form or a potential form. We can call it as a potential form, seed form, unmanifest form. We call it singularity. It's a state of no information, or it could be in an encoded form. So that much we can agree. If it has to come from something, the entire space, everything could have been in potential seed form. So that is the only logical conclusion that we can make of. So when we talk about creation, many times I would say when we get to creation topic, as such, when we use the word creation, it's actually a misnomer. Because nothing can be created and nothing will be destroyed. The entire universe was there either in the potential form or in the manifest form as it is now. And this cycle will continue eternally. Isn't it? If we have to go by this logic of law of conservation of matter and energy, either the entire cosmos is manifest as of now, it will go into unmanifest at one stage, and it has to again manifest. So this manifestation and manifestation, it keeps on going. So in other words, you can equate creation equal to manifestation or Big Bang or kind of an expansion. And dissolution you can equate to unmanifest, potential form, seed form, singularity, contraction. So the entire universe goes into the continuous cycle of expansion, contraction. Expansion, contraction. So this much, I'm sure it goes by reason and logic. Again, I would reiterate, the entire simple law of conservation of energy we are discussing now, the entire mass and energy is conserved, matter and energy is conserved. So the entire whole observable universe as a steady state, it has to conserve the entire matter and energy, including space, has to be conserved. So that conservation has to be in unmanifest potential seed form. Let's now come down from the big observable universe to your individuality. We are analyzing human composition. Now, your gross body and subtle body exist in a seed form or potential form. So this seed form of your personality is the cause for your subtle body and gross body. Therefore, that particular potential form or seed form of your individuality, we can call it causal body. Therefore, the causal body carries your gross body and subtle body in potential form from the time of the previous big crunch or the previous dissolution up until this current creation or current Big Bang. So that is the causal body. The causal body, I'll repeat, the causal body is the one that carries your gross body and subtle body in its seed form or in its potential form for a long time up until the time of Big Bang. Now, as I said, this analysis of causal body will be as abstract as we get to the topic of infinite. But again, every time I reiterate, you are thinkers. So naturally, you will have to employ your intellect. Come along with my thoughts. Note down your questions. Definitely all those multitude questions that is currently springing up will be answered. But note down this. Note down your questions. But you come along and then let's see where it takes us from now on. Still a lot of information about creation, about even causal body will be discussed in a much detailed way when we get to the topic of infinity, creation again. I'm again and again repeating this because it's like a jigsaw puzzle, you know. I would not do justice if I am not bringing in little concept about infinity or little points about creation. Now it has to be introduced little by little so that we will have some understanding now, so that when we get there our understanding becomes complete. So that's the reason I'm jumping the gun. Certain point I'm not offloading the entire subtle concept at a time, but here and there trickles of concepts will be introduced because I have no other choice for us to understand this. Now we know the order of subtlety. We saw the subtle body is subtler than the gross body. Now going by the logic, this causal body, which holds your subtle body and gross body in potential form, is subtler than the subtle body. So the order of subtlety goes as causal body, subtle body, gross body. So this is how you are come into existence. Now what the entire scientific community, particularly the astrophysicists, they were only trying to analyze from the observable universe where the expanse of the universe goes. Is there anything beyond observable universe? And to an extent, they have come down up to the point of quantum realm. Quantum realm, again quarks, leptons, fermions, the standard model of particle physics, you all know. Thereafter, what is that? The wave theory. Then they got stuck somewhere. But there was never an attempt. This is all what I'm talking about of the standard model of particle physics up until the analysis of huge universe, the observable universe. Everything is external. The analysis is external. And in this entire analysis, the entire scientific community wants to understand creation, wants to understand the impossible, want to understand infinity. It boils down to wanting to capture infinity. Rarely some study had gone into analysis of human body anatomical way. But again, it boils down to atoms, your standard model. Very minuscule exploration has gone into mind and intellect. As I said, the entire people who are talking about mind and intellect, they are in the realm of equating consciousness, unknown factors, which I have already dealt with earlier. Now, the analysis of subtle body is in tantrums. Analysis of the gross body and observable universe, the science have achieved significant, but not achieved the finality, not achieved in terms of capturing infinite, but there had been significant progress in the matter realm, the gross matter realm. The subtle matter realm, it's in tantrums. Forget about causal matter, causal body as such. So that's where that's the current situation of the current state of affairs in terms of the analysis of human composition by the entire scientific community. With this background, now if we do the 4-factor analysis, it will be relatively easy for us to understand. What are the 4 factors? The material, the components, function and nature. Now we all know the gross body is made of gross matter. And the next I introduce the subtle concept of what is the material by which the subtle body is made of. I brought down the 5 fundamental states of matter, and I said the subtle body is made of combination of pure state of matter. Now I will bring the same example again. 100 ml of water, it should be in a state where it doesn't have 4 other fundamental states of matter. It should not have that ingredient in it. That is, this 100 ml of water shouldn't occupy any space. It shouldn't have any air component in it. It shouldn't have any other matter in it. It shouldn't have any plasma component or temperature component in it. In other words, it shouldn't hold any temperature. So that is pure state of matter. Similarly, the rest of the 4 fundamental states of matter in its pure form, in its own form. Space means space as such should be there, and rest of the 4 should not be an ingredient part of it, inherent part of it, pure state. So this combination of pure state of matter forms the thoughts. Now again, when we get to creation, we will do a deeper analysis of the material of subtle body. So these two, gross matter and subtle matter, are existing in potential form in the causal body. So the only way that we can conclude is the causal body is made of causal matter, as it were. Causal matter is nothing but the gross matter and subtle matter in seed form. If we go beyond that, we will get into the realm of non-matter, consciousness. That again, there will be a beautiful derivation that we will see, the relationship between matter and consciousness. Right now, hold your horses. Therefore, we can conclude the causal matter is the subtlest form of matter. Going subtler than the causal matter, we will get into the realm of non-matter. So that will be an interesting analysis we will do later on. So as of now, you understand the causal body is made of causal matter. Now next is, what are the components? Again, it's going to be very easy because I've already described it elaborately. The components include, again, the gross body and subtle body in its seed form. Those two are the components of the causal body. So it's, for example, the small, you see these big trees, you see huge trees in this universe, in planet Earth. Some trees are thousands of years old. I think I've mentioned it earlier. The entire seed in its potential form. So the seed holds all the components of the tree in its potential form. Likewise, the causal body holds the gross body and subtle body in its potential form. So these two are the components of the causal body. Function of causal body. So what is the function of the causal body? It's quite simple. It just acts as a container or a storehouse or a receiving equipment for both the gross body and subtle body. It just kind of holds and receives the gross body and subtle body at the time of big crunch, holds it for a long period of time, and then it releases at the time of big bang. So the function, primary function is as a container or a storehouse, and by acting as a storehouse, the other function of the causal body sustains the interconvertibility of matter and energy, the unmanifest form of gross body and subtle body to manifest form and manifest form to unmanifest form. This infinite cycle of manifest and unmanifest, in this process it holds the unmanifest, so it sustains the entire cycle of manifest and unmanifest infinitely. We will get into the nature of causal body now. So first is the lifespan. The causal body's lifespan is the longest I would say near infinite. Now let's see, the gross body, we know it's about 120 to 130 years. The subtle body lifetime is the entire lifespan from Big Bang to Big Crunch, from creation to dissolution. That is the lifespan of the subtle body. Now if you analyze the picture, if you see this picture, you will know. It looks like an exotic ring, but maybe the engineer can zoom in. If you see that there is Big Bang, then slowly it gets to Big Crunch and stays for an equal period of time. We don't know that equal period or non-equal period, just for an illustration purposes, we considered equal period of time. It goes on to unmanifest state, again manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. You see this picture. Though it is a circle, but it's like a spiral going eternally. Imagine this ring as a spiral coil. That coil doesn't have a beginning and an end. It goes on, so it's beginningless. I say it's beginningless and I say it's almost infinite, because the next question, when I say it's beginningless, then you would ask, then when this continuous cycle of birth and death will end? So the answer is, go back to the primary topic of this entire study classes, capturing infinity. Only when you capture infinite, then causal body comes to an end. Until then, it goes on. How long? Goes on. How long? It goes on and on and on. How? Big Bang, Big Crunch. Again Big Bang. Goes into unmanifest. Then manifest. Unmanifest. Manifest and manifest. Your causal body remains in the entire period of the time of unmanifest till the next manifest. It's billions of years. So imagine you as an individual going through almost infinite cycle of birth and death. This birth and death is not a very, very happy experience all the time. You go through the misery, pain. You remember the first 3 goals? The 3 goals of human being we talked earlier. That 3 goals comes with a lot of pain and suffering. If it's okay, 2-3 lifetimes is okay. You have already gone through the pain and sufferings and trickles of happiness in so many life cycles in the past. And this will go on eternally to the future. How long? You can see from this infinite ring. The only way to escape is, if you see the background, you see that blue color, that blue represent infinity. Until you capture infinity, this cycle will go on eternally. We are going to, again, this is a little kind of every slide that you see, it comes with a little new information, little shocker. So you will have to be a little patient to grasp what I'm saying. You can disagree. There are certain things which will be seemingly a little illogical, but it will make sense when you complete this study cycle in its entirety.